Talk 360. Talk 360 for in-depth analysis on the week's news with Latiff.
Welcome to Talk 360. Today in the studio we are joined by Peter Kenneth, presidential candidate on a Kenya National Congress ticket. This man launched his campaign just the other day, and immediately it hit on Facebook and Twitter and all social media that Peter Kenneth is the man to beat. Is that so? We're going to find out today. Welcome very much. Thank you for coming, Peter Kenneth.
Thank you very much.
And I'll begin by asking you, when did you first conceive this idea of wanting to run as chief executive of this country?
It's been a growing idea. I've been in many areas of leadership, at the helm of the corporate world, at the helm of the football world. And remember, I quit all that to go and work for the people of Gatanga. I think what Kenyans have been denied over the years is getting the right choices to elect from. So they just keep getting the same choices, same characteristics since independence. And I said, let's widen the choice.
So was this the plan when you were running for example, KFF chairmanship? Were you thinking, I want to start here, prove my worth, interact with the people, then from here get into parliament, interact with the people?
You might say so, because life is a moving story. It's a learning experience. At KFF, it was all national. I traveled to all parts of our country. I could see the issues. I could see the problems. I think when I went in as a member of parliament for Gatanga, it was pretty obvious that people needed to be assisted. And therefore, I decided I wanted to do that. Remember, we are coming from a situation where we've been in historical bondage for the last 49 years. And as I said during the launch, history is a subject where we learn lessons. In our case, we've had the same history. We haven't come out of it.
When you talk about historical bondage, exactly what are you talking about? Because
the same characteristics of leadership. It's about them. It's about leadership. It's not about the people. It's the same characteristics. If you check for the last 49 years, it's about the leaders. It's never about the people. And I say, we have to change these characteristics. We must have leadership that works for the people. That's what I want to do.
So you say that among your two strong pillars that you want to work on in your presidency is employment and food security.
I actually said Kenya faces two serious challenges that we can't afford to do nothing about them. Those two challenges are serious. And you just have to look at the statistics.
And I'll tell you right now, Peter Kenneth, that if you talk to any of the other presidential candidates, even members of parliament, every time, that's the first thing that they'll keep telling you. Oh, employment, nafasi za ajira kwa vijana wetu. Same story.
I am not doing we are not talking about just making statements. I think we need to get to the root of it. Officially, the unemployment rate is 40%. Can't hide away from it. The unofficial rate would easily be 50%. Now, the statistics are that 52% of our population is below 18, right? Yeah. So you're saying that in the next 10 years, you're going to have those kids, 3/4 of them in the job market. You're going to have the unemployment rate going to 70, 80%. What kind of a country are you going to be in? This is the truth. And this is the level I've pushed the debate. Now, on food security, we are hungry at 41 million. We are growing at 1.2 million. In 10 years, we'll be 53 million. In 10 years, the Central Highlands, which was a food basket, will have been converted into real estate. The Rift Valley, which is the other food basket, is being settled. Where will food come from? Now, combine a hungry 53 million population and an 80–70% unemployment rate. Do you have a country? No, you don't. The poor will eat the rich.
I'm glad you're talking about the figures. Now give us the how you're going to do it. Let's start with employment. We have this huge population that's unemployed. How do you make sure that they have jobs?
Now you go to my 5 fundamentals. The first 2 are challenges. You go to my 5 fundamentals. Would you ever get an investor, whether local or international, without security? You wouldn't, right? So you have to fix security. The police officers are doing, people might not accept, are trying to do a good job. But look at the handicaps. They are short countrywide of 3,000 vehicles, right? They are not well housed. They are short of 27,000 housing units. They are not equipped. You need to invest in security so that you can give confidence to local investors so that they can invest. And I think you know that we are losing our own local investors to the neighborhood, right? Now, for the international community, they would never invest without security being assured. Now, you want to bring tourists, you won't have them if you do not have enough security. And let me perhaps give you an investor situation. Just one subcomponent of security. An investor in Kenya who has a factory needs 5 subcomponents of security. Laser wire on his factory, alarm, CCTV, dogs, watchman.
The watchman at the gate.
Those add to cost of production, right? You go to Uganda, the same investor will just need a watchman who has a G3. He's done. You go to Rwanda, he doesn't need. So we are going to lose our investors to countries that are secure because the cost of security in itself is not added to the production cost.
How do we improve the security?
That's why I said you have to invest. I said you have to
You
invest.
invest in, let's say, police vehicles. You invest in police housing. And you add more police officers on the streets.
And equipment.
And the equipment. How much is that going to cost us?
Let me first of all give you an example. In 1974, Kilimani police station had 20 police cars. 18 were on duty, 2 were on reserve. And this is the example I gave during my lunch.
And how many police officers?
All right. Now the 18 cars needed to do 200 kilometers a night of patrol in a given area. The population was then about 10 million. Today we are 40, 15, 20 times more. Kilimani probably has 2 police cars. One probably for the OCPD and the other one for patrol with 20 liters of gas. It can't work, right? It can't work. Police security is about visibility. When you go to a city like London, what gives you confidence? You find 2 cops walking, you find a police car parked somewhere, you find a van outside a hotel like New Stanley with 18 cops waiting for action.
It's the visibility and the perception.
That is what gives you, right?
I'm good with that.
All right. Now, in terms
How
of
much?
investments,
Where? Yes.
in terms of investments, if you invested about 20 billion to 30 on these things for the first 2 years, you'll have sorted out security. That's what it takes. Later, I can show you where to get the money. And I'm sure once I go through the others, you will do the Jerry Maguire question.
Good.
Show me the
Show
money.
me the money.
I'll show
20
you.
billion shillings for security.
Per
Let's go
year.
to the other stuff.
Now, the second one is infrastructure. You know, you need to sort out infrastructure in urban cities because the traffic jam costs money, costs to the economy in terms of fuel. If you look at our highway here, it's easily the biggest car park in East Africa. What's the problem? You need to sort out the 6 roundabouts. The way the Museum Hill was sorted out, and you leave it as a highway, and with the southern bypass, you're home and dry. But you also need to do certain things. You need, for example, to open Nyahururu, Rumuruti, Maral, Baragoi, Loyangalani, Turkana. Because you need to aim that area for tourist attraction. You need to open that place up. You need to go to Mombasa and say, for example, that it costs less to put up a bridge over Likoni Channel than to buy ferries and maintain them. It will probably help the tourism sector if at Mazeras you can do a road towards Kinango Kwale to Diani, which is it's a tourist attraction. You do another one at Mazeras, Ganze, Kilifi, so that you decongest Mombasa. But you open up the country. Secondly, you need to realize that Kenyans settle where there is tarmac. So if that's what we do, open up the whole country.
Put more tarmac.
put more tarmac. You know, wild west in America was that the tarmac was just going to the west, just opening up the whole country. That is what wild west was all about. We need to open up our country to allow people to settle. People will not settle in places where there is no communication.
But when you talk about infrastructure and you just concentrate mainly on the roads, what happens to
I'm going to speak about the others. I just started with the roads. You need to sort out public transport. What you saw yesterday is a good idea, but you need to spread it out. Energy is equally important as infrastructure. You know, when you look at what this country uses, which is about 1,600 megawatts, 800 is hydro, about another 300 is geothermal, and then the generators. Again, the cost of production becomes high. We probably need to think that Loyangalani can produce 350 by way of windmill. Marsabit can do that. Invest on that so that we can lower the cost of energy, so that we can encourage our manufacturers, because that also adds up into cost of production. And those three are actually in the pillar of infrastructure, if you look at my website.
If you're going to, we're talking about now infrastructure, and you're talking about transport and the energy, let's stick for a bit with energy. Now you just said 1,600 megawatts is what we are consuming against the demand, which is much higher than that.
The demand is not much higher. It's actually not much higher.
It's about 1,800 currently.
Yes. The problem is the cost of generators, because we don't have our own energy. That's where the problem is. That's what we need to fix.
But these things have already been started. For example, we know about the solar and wind power projects up north. We know about what's happening in Naivasha with geothermal. And all these things, and also interconnecting with buying power from Uganda, from Ethiopia. Are those going to help? Do we need more of that? You
need a national policy on energy so that you harmonize all these things. What is being done in Naivasha is a one-off project by KenGen. No harmonization, right? The Loyangalani one has not taken off. You can see the works. The Marsabit has not even started. You need to invest in the short term so that in the long term you are okay, right? You need to invest on transmission, because we are losing lots of power on transmission.
Because of unreliable.
Yes, you are losing lots of power. So that you can even ease off on hydro at some point and use those dams for irrigation, because you'll have to address food security at some point.
You've been at the planning ministry for many years.
Yes.
And therefore you know these things in and out. You know what the plans are. You know where the shortcomings are. Talking about these two areas that you've mentioned, infrastructure, security, what's our problem? Is it poor planning? Is it poor implementation? Is it lack of leadership? Is it lack of understanding?
I think financial discipline is very key, and I also think implementation is very key. And I spoke about these two things in my launch. There are things we can do in 3 years and get going with our life. I think the single biggest problem in our country is that the expenditure and the revenue are controlled by the Treasury, and they do not align funds towards key projects. Let me give you an example. Vision 2030, good document. Kenya is not short of planners. Kenya is not short of ideas. What we are short of is implementers. And remember, some of these things require leadership from the very top. And I think that has not been forthcoming, right? Now, look at Vision 2030 and say it has very good flagship projects. Have they taken off?
Some
No.
have, some haven't.
No, they haven't.
We are short of the medium term.
They haven't. Because we did not assign or align funds towards flagship projects, right? The vision was supposed to ensure that Kenya grows at 10% from this year for the next 18 years. We are going to grow at somewhere between 4 and 4.5%, which means we'll be short of the vision and will require a miracle to put it back on track to achieve it by 2030. So implementation is critical. You don't do it, you lose time. Now, what does that translate to Kenyans? That every time we lose on these things, you lose 1 year of your life, of what you could have gotten better. And you can take that across the board.